Hey, everybody. Welcome to the second episode ever of The Wrap Out. And I'm really excited because I have my friends Andrew Matthews and Katie Graham here. They are the writers and directors of a gem of an indie movie called Zero Charisma that went through production in 2012 and was released in 2013, won the Audience Award at South by Southwest and other good things. And we just happen to have them in the wings, and here they is. Hi, guys.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going great. I see that you've got yourselves a nice little quarantine habitat going there. It looks nice.
Mm-hmm. Can't complain.
I like the pictures you have around your little brick room.
Try to personalize it.
Yeah.
You can barely see it, but back in the back, there's a little die on the table by the martini glass.
Oh yeah. I see it. Yeah.
No stone unturned.
Appropriate.
What are y'all drinking?
I'm having an East Sider Sangria cider.
And I'm having a Fourth Tap. Can you dig it?
Ooh, what is
we
that?
did go down to the Fourth Tap Brewery over on Metric.
But I mean, what is the Can You Dig It?
It's kind of I guess it's kind of like an amber ale, I think. Yeah, amber ale. But it's lovely. They have, contactless pickup. We just put in a big order and then they just bring it to your table for you.
Hey, we have action on the hummingbird cam. 1 second.
On our hummingbird here.
Anyway, I had to keep an eye on them. We have this thing going since this all started. I'd like to think I'm having I'm the only person in the world having this drink right now. It's a quarantini, and it is homemade kombucha and bubbly water and lemon juice and Yopon infused gin.
What is a Yopon?
Yopon's a weed that grows in Texas quite well, and some entrepreneurs, these sisters, came up with selling it and making tea and a bunch of other things with it, and they're making big bucks now. And we did a little promo for them, so I got a little hip to it. So
cool. So it's a very Austin drink, it sounds like.
Even though I'm in Lago Vista. But
okay.
So
Austin adjacent.
You guys are holding up okay. I also want to say hello to the people that have joined us. I see Thomas Fernandez in the wings.
Hi, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas.
And Craig and Peter Kurland, Rebecca and Patrick Wiley, and
hi, Patrick.
And Edison Jackson. So quite some dignitaries, some luminaries are online with us right now.
Well,
as far as this kind of hiatus we're all on, what has been the strangest behavior you've adopted or strangest purchase you've made since the FOMO and the horde mentality started?
It's probably the live karaoke parties you've been having in our garage, because we over the last few months, with a lot of help from Thomas, we've transformed half of our garage into a karaoke studio, like a full karaoke studio with
live instruments.
Live instruments, 2-screen. We wood paneled it, made it kind of like 70s looking, and it's all just like ready for a party. And then this happened. So about once a week, Katie and I have been going in there and just doing a party on our own and live streaming it and putting the URL up there so that anyone can add songs to the queue however they want. So and we're trying to like up our game. I got a capture card for my computer so that we can actually use Katie's nice camera instead of just using a phone. And
it makes a huge difference.
To do, I guess. Yeah.
Now, I think but the Facebook police haven't come down on y'all or anything?
No. Oh, they took one. Actually, Tequila they removed. We did it. But there's no lyrics related
I think it's
to Tequila,
like,
so
basically,
that's why I think.
as long as you're singing loud enough and poorly enough over the song, the algorithm can't spot it.
I've been
So
I've been
we're
kind of
nailing that.
terrified I'm a little worried about all that. That's why I haven't been doing a lot of any music I've been using for this stuff. It's always just been a friend or something that's been
Oh,
originally
it
created.
really was. We just did. Somebody added tequila to the queue, which, as you know, is there's only 2 words in the entire karaoke song. So it's really just the song playing by itself the whole time. And what Facebook Live did is it played it live. It just said when it archived the video, we muted that section of the video. And I'm like, okay, fine.
That's fine. We didn't really. It was just us dancing around anyway. So
You know, my son, who's a budding thespian right now, had a brilliant idea that tequila would actually be, for somebody who doesn't sing very well, the perfect audition song.
It is. Although you can put a lot of heart and soul into that one word if you're doing it right.
Well, yeah, no. If you can own it, you can own that one little bit. Well, let's talk some Zero Charisma. It's been kind of fun to go down the little wormhole recently and look at some old articles and old videos and pictures and stuff, and you know that a lot. Sometimes those indie experiences can be like just PTSD, and then sometimes there's one you look back on quite fondly, and this is one of the ones I think universally we all look back on and go, yeah, we did a thing.
Was PTSD. Oh, wait, no.
it was PTSD
fondly.
for
sorry.
us. Yeah. I'm glad everyone else had a lovely time.
Well, right. Well, y'all were the grown-ups, you know, the trappings of above the line. And
actually, I think the most PTSD part of it is dealing with like sales agents and distribution companies and all that at the back end. That's the PTSD part.
True.
Right, which I definitely want to get to. But as far as the genesis itself, I don't even think I know this. I know that you're a recovering dungeon master, but what made you decide to realize it in a product?
Boy, that's a long time ago. I do remember that you and I were working on a script, and just like in the break of a different script a long time ago that we never really produced, but we were in one of the breaks. We were just talking, and we were like, "Oh, I want to see a character of just this, this dungeon master who's just so arrogant and so fixated on the game that he is blind to the feelings of everybody around him." And we just ended up talking about it so much that we said, let's go ahead and write that. And I think the first draft that we did was like a kind of like a big budget sort of studio comedy, with lots of set pieces and kind of adventures and that kind of thing. And, it was like a dungeon master who doesn't even realize that he's actually experiencing an adventure, because all he wants to do is just play his D&D game. And then when we decided, like, let's actually try to make a movie ourselves, which we had never done before, this was the first one, we thought, well, we can probably sort of adapt this and rewrite it in a way that it's more of like an indie, few location, limited character script, but the character is essentially the same. And it was the character. We just love the character pretty much. Yeah.
Katie, didn't you say in a Q&A or something that it was the equivalent of what does comic book store guy do when he goes home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The comic book store guy from The Simpsons. Like, what is his story? And so, Andrew and I have always been we're into anti-heroes and misanthropes, I suppose. So we were big fans of The British Office, and we were like, we wanted to do we really want to do a comedy about someone that most people would find appalling.
But so how on earth do you square misanthrope with Sam Edson? I mean,
I know. Sam.
Patrick and I first worked with Sam on an indie movie called Natural Selection, and he was a misanthrope in that as well. He was a thug in a convenience store who exposes himself. So this was kind of a natural dovetailing for him.
Yeah. We just saw that one scene and we cast him. No, I'm kidding.
Well, y'all didn't go about casting him in the traditional route, right?
No, we actually were, because we decided the way to try to kickstart this thing for happening was actually do a Kickstarter, or an Indiegogo is actually what we used, and make like a fake trailer that we could put on there. So we just took like some scenes from the script and we just needed to shoot it. And we made it really clear to all the actors that we cast in that we're like, this is just a, it's not an audition for a role. We're just making this trailer, and we paid them, a little bit, very little bit of money.
And I like Facebook stalked Sam.
Yeah.
He had some videos at the time. There was like these crazy sketch videos he had, and I think they were like hard gravel videos.
Which was
and
like
I was like,
very weird.
I think this guy might be right. Yeah. And so we
asked him if he wanted to do it. He was like, sure. And then he just was like magnetic in the trailer, and the trailer kind of blew up. We got a lot of views, a lot of write-ups, and a lot of articles, a lot of attention, and the crowdfunding campaign was a success, and we knew that he had a lot to do with that. So we were still kind of like open in terms of like who we were going to cast, but when you have that kind of like that kind of like chemistry on screen, where you're just like, it's just like so magnetic, you kind of go like, that's all you can hope for. So we just offered it to him, and it ended up being, it's like a really dangerous thing to make a movie, especially when it's your first one, about a really unlikable character, because the character is an asshole. I can say that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Okay. And so the temptation is like, well, we got to find an actor who's really good at being an asshole. But then we wanted the character's like soft side to come out, or vulnerability to be there, and it ended up being a much better decision to have an actor like Sam, who was capable of being so kind of vulnerable, and have him play an asshole. I think worked out better.
Yeah.
Well, he was tailor-made for that part, for sure. I actually looked back, and I found the email I originally sent you guys, my first grovel pitching myself for the project, and I imagine you were pretty inundated.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember that. I remember that. I mean, I think we met you through Ezra.
Yeah, Ezra,
who was the producer.
Benito was our producer.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it
was.
I thought it was the other way around, because I got an email back from you guys, from you, Andrew, and you said you had your hat in hand and said how low the budget was going to be, and we actually it was through a guy named Alexander Hillary, I think. Does that ring a bell? An actor that might have auditioned that worked with one of you guys at a restaurant, maybe. I don't know if that's ringing.
Thomas.
That must have been
right.
Thomas.
Thomas, yeah.
But that's really who I was using as sort of my inside track. And then and then Andrew and I and Katie met at Triumph Cafe. I actually looked this up on January 12th, 2012. And it was a Vietnamese coffee shop over on Spicewood Springs, and that's where we first really talked about this thing.
Yes. Now I remember that.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Now.
And
really?
I'm
not sure if I saw the place.
And that's when you guys were thinking this was going to be more of a mumblecore 2-camera, couple of Panasonics, dock-style cameras, and just kind of blast through it. And that's when I had encouraged y'all to get with Ezra.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so it's Sean that brought Ezra.
Sean had a lot. Sean, you had a lot more to do with the formation of this film crew than I knew before.
Because
go
ahead.
Sorry, I remember Ezra saying like that we had to go with you because you were the most sort of dependable, like best guy he knew, and also would enjoy the premise of the movie, more and be into it. So.
Well, it was there was a little bit of serendipity going on. I think it just kind of happening all at once, and I was so glad once he got on board, because then y'all kind of changed your whole business model a little bit and decided to go reach a little higher, and ended up going with a nice format camera, and then you got the wonderful and talented Eliane Fenton on board. And if I'm not mistaken, that was her first narrative feature as well.
It was.
I think so.
Yeah. She
yeah, she crushed it. She put her whole like heart and soul into it.
She did. She gave us like a month ahead of time, just like, volunteered her time essentially to like, work with us, and Yeah. No, Ellie was amazing.
Yeah, she cared a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked, I mean, like that was pretty. It was exciting, but also intimidating. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Our first day on set was like, because we had worked on some feature documentaries before and some shorts, but this felt. I mean, I know this was like technically a micro budget film, but to us, this felt like we were, walking onto the set of a Marvel movie or something like that. And
Yeah.
big time imposter syndrome. We're just like, we hope the crew doesn't realize.
Yeah.
Doesn't find
that
us
we're
out.
Frauds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that was really like the first few days, and then we realized that everybody was. Once we started hearing that everybody was having a good time, it relaxed us a lot.
Yeah. Well, and you had the very capable and lovely Thomas Fernandez kind of running interference and keeping the trains running on time. So, and he was super easy to work with. And I went back and looked through all. I watched this just the other night, and it really holds up. And I think a lot of it is because of the casting. You guys really knocked that out of the park as far as who you picked for the main characters. I mean, for Anne was just.
I agree.
Thank you. I agree.
No, I do. I really do agree because it was something that we had that was so exciting to us.
Yeah.
Like few things are more exciting than casting. And hopefully, we'll make a movie that's a big enough budget where a studio or a production company overrides you and say, no, you have to use this YouTube star in this role. But hopefully
what a dream.
We get to make, but that is just so sad to me that you can't go with your gut, that so many directors have to just like listen to the financiers about who they're going to cast, because we went with our gut over and over again in the casting. There were so many like so much advice we got from casting director, just like to use like people that we knew were like, okay, that's a safer idea, but we just don't feel. I mean, I really want to take this risk. It feels like you're, I don't know, like backing.
It's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, honestly, casting Sam was like, we loved him, but it was terrifying because he'd never been in a movie. So there's like,
well, been in movies, but
been
the
lead of a movie.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh man, it's intimidating. You kind of like, I think about a month right before shooting, we were like, oh my god,
and there were just so many like people saying like, oh well, your lead has to be a name.
Yeah.
You can't do this until you find a name. Even if it's a name that you don't really. Or what was someone suggested to us? I'm not going to name names, but somebody suggested to us an actor who was basically like a sexy young leading man from Hollywood to play Scott. And you're just like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, did you read the script?
Right.
Do you remember what that was?
But yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Like a very cool guy. Like a kind of a Jay Baruchel type of guy,
Right. Right. Which is, that's the thing, I guess. But Andrew and I just have so much fun with casting. And even like just even doing the casting sessions and seeing people we did it ourselves. We didn't have a casting director. It was just Thomas and us. And so it was like, it was incredibly fun. It was very inspiring. It's inspiring to see different types of people.
Yeah.
To me. I mean, it's like, you're like, they might be good.
Oh, we'd see people that were like, they're not right for any of these roles, but I think I might write a script for this person because they are like so perfect for that.
Yeah.
Well, Brock and Garrett were they really are those characters.
Oh, yeah.
You believe them.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
From the get-go. I mean, Miles really turned out to be a great character. He's super likable, but but you do see him for what he is, over the arc of the movie. For anybody
we did watch.
Oh, you didn't have time to check it out since?
No, we did watch the movie semi-recently in quarantine in a boring.
Because it's on Amazon Prime.
Because it's on Amazon Prime now.
Again,
and it hasn't been available, on
for a couple years
subscription service for a while. So,
but it's on now.
And I was actually surprised with you're right, with the Miles character, that he's like that sort of arc of like going from, oh, this guy's cool, to sort of being, not sure about him, and him becoming almost like a scary character. But at the same time, I mean, you get it. You get where he's coming from.
Sure. And Scott's so frustrating, so you know,
but that's
you
the kind
get
of
why
stuff
he'd
that,
push back. You know?
It's the kind of stuff that you write, but you don't write that stuff in the script. Like it's such the actors.
Yeah.
Kind of like make it's like such a collaboration between the writers, directors, and actors.
Well, and Anne is just she was just such a rock, you know.
Yeah, Auntie Bird. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was.
Yeah, she's an old friend of Andrew's dad's, who was a theater actor.
I've done plays with Angie. She's been. I think she was a acting teacher of mine for like maybe one session in LA, and she was. I mean, we didn't think that she would, you know, want to come out to Texas to do this little movie, but she did, and she had a great time.
Well, and Katie Folger was such a baby at the time.
I know.
Was she even old enough to drink yet?
No.
I don't think she was.
I remember that. She's like, I'm not even 21 when we had the party scene.
That's
I was
right.
like, oops.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of like.
But casting her was very exciting because I'd never. I mean, no one had ever seen her. It was like, who is this?
Yeah, she's
great.
I think she responded to just like a casting call that we put on.
She was in college.
Yeah, what was the website that we used? Like Texas.
Yeah, I can't remember.
There was some. Yeah, it certainly wasn't through her. She did have an agent, but it wasn't through her agent. She just responded to something that we posted, and then there's like such a pride in Zero Charisma because a lot of those actors that we feel like we discovered them. I know that might not be true, but some, you know, we feel like we're because we were willing to just.
Whoopsie.
Sorry about that. It's probably a delivery of some kind. Because we were just willing to take a chance on people who weren't, you know, hadn't like earned their place yet in the Austin acting ecosphere, whatever. We were so happy to see. When we would do screenings and people would go, who was that? Who did that? Or, oh my God, I'd never seen them do that. And then filmmaker friends of ours would then cast them in things after that. It was pretty cool. And then we get 10% of everything they make for the rest of their careers.
Well, it's like American Idol or something. And the locations, you know, there weren't a ton of them, but you were pretty lucky to score one right by your house, or was that a curse? Because like one of the main shooting locations was like a block away, right?
It was the backyard.
Yeah.
Like it was right behind our house. We we knew we needed a location for Scott's house, and we're like, we needed an old 70s house, but then we needed the whole, you know, needed it for a while so we could dress it, and I knew the house right behind ours was empty, and I was like, I guess I'll reach out and see if we could, you know, rent it for 2 months. And and they said yes, and we pulled down the fence, and it became like, so all the like lunches were in our backyard, and that became the production house, our house. So that was a little bit of a curse because it was just like, oh boy, we're never like, we'd wake up in the morning and be like, oh God, people are coming.
But that house behind ours was the one that became the picture house. Scott's house was a completely empty house.
Yeah.
There was nothing in it because I guess they were going to rent it, but they just hadn't yet or something like that. So we rented it for 2 months, and then we dressed and filled the entire thing. And that meant like spending about a month finding the cheapest furniture and knickknacks and things we could get off of eBay or Craigslist, picking up furniture that we saw on the side of the road. I don't want to tell the actors how many of the couches and beds that they sat on were actually picked up off the side of the road.
Yeah.
And then going to thrift stores and just buying like, this looks like something like an old lady would have and on her shelves. And then also, and this is mostly Katie and Thomas doing all this work. Also like we went way overboard in the rights department, in the copyrights department. We were so careful because we had heard so many horror stories about having a brand name or a piece of art that you end up not being able to use. So, I mean, almost every single piece of art that you see, like in Scott's room, where he has floor to ceiling posters, you know, sci-fi and fantasy posters was we have a document signed by the artist or the company
Mhm,
saying you may
mhm.
use this, and it's movie posters and art, original art from fantasy artists.
Yeah.
I wanted to
I
ask
mean, I
about
got the
that.
rights to like 100, like there's like in the documents, it's like almost 100 different companies.
Yeah.
It was wild.
I was wondering about that because there are some actual close-ups of some of that art in that room, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
accidental. I mean, there's no way. You know,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all of the and Scott, the character, has a bookshelf that's filled with comic books and board games. I mean, it's a tall bookshelf, and every single one of those was given right. We had rights to use from the company or the artist.
I'm worried our battery's dying.
Oh yeah. So if we go dark, that means the battery in this camera died, and we have to swap it out really fast.
that's
But we can do it really fast.
that's cool. I have things to jump to if we get in trouble.
Okay, good, good. We'll be right on it.
Mhm.
Be right back because it will happen fast.
A
so.
quick shout out to everybody that's online right now. I see Matt Franklin's with us. Matthew Franklin was asking, was Wiedemeyer's inspired by a real person? But I think you had already answered it. He's kind of an amalgam.
Yeah, he's a lot of people, including myself. I would count myself amongst that. Yeah.
Like the Matrix scene. Him
Oh
right.
yeah, that scene where
Andrew
he.
kind of felt like he wrote the Matrix.
Yeah, I did write a short story. That and I think it was like the summer. I remember it was like the summer that Jurassic Park came out. It was like '93, I guess, something like that. And I wrote a short story about people who find out that they're just living in like a VR world or like a fake world, but once they escape from it, then somebody can be on a computer giving them superpowers while they're out, solving crimes or something. But I didn't think that it was stolen from me, but it was still a good jumping off point.
I wanted to toot my department's horn a little bit since there was only two of us. I had the lovely and talented Patrick Wiley as boom operator, and was super lucky to get him. And he lives in Atlanta now, and so he grew up. He grew up, and he's doing well out there. And he actually sat down with me a couple of nights ago, and I'm gonna hop to that, and you can swap your camera battery out. So
all right, great.
Okay.
Here's just a couple of minutes with Patrick. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Patrick Wiley.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I'm sheltering in place at right now.
Baby Bird done grew up and flew the coop.
I did. So I rewatched it last night, and honestly, it is nice to like get so much distance between something that you kind of forget the yearbook that would have otherwise been your experience of the movie. So instead of like watching it and like, oh, I was in a sweaty corner at that point, or oh, that part really sucked, or man, that it was just fun to watch it and not be so connected to it. So because I think it had been since about 2013 since I watched it. I don't know. It's a really like well thought out character study, and kind of amazing that I think about this now. I'm like 18 days. Holy God, we did that in 18 days, right?
Yeah, that's 2 days less than Napoleon Dynamite had. Yoga. I'm pretty sure you were instigating some yoga.
Oh, I remember this was like Ellie and I doing some plow pose in the backyard. I think at Andrew and Katie's house. I'm pretty sure, multiple times.
One of my absolute favorite moments on that shoot was totally accidental. The grip truck was having trouble it broke down or something. So we found ourselves with some free time, and instead of taking a nap or whatever, getting on a phone call, we decided that our time would be best spent by making our own commercial.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then and you looked extra psycho because you had buzzed your head recently, and you had the specs on. So this is what we came up with. All right.
Is your child feeling messy and dirty? Call Uncle Pat's child washing service. He's more than happy to help with all your child washing needs. And feel free to call as late as you want.
Call 1-888-555-8825 to learn if you qualify for a complimentary cleanliness evaluation. By listening to this, you absolve Uncle Pat and all Uncle Pat-related subsidiaries of any and all misdeeds past, present, and in perpetuity throughout the known universe. Not licensed or bonded or recommended for children of any age.
I mean it clean.
Se habla español.
Your
Oh,
legacy. Well, I'm so glad that we managed to corral you. I know with your busy schedule and all right now that, you have many projects
oh yeah.
occurring simultaneously, so I appreciate you squeezing us in.
You're welcome.
But we love you, Patrick. We want you to come home sooner than later, and hopefully when the Twilight Zone's on the other side and we're not in the Upside Down anymore, maybe we can all have a little reunion.
No, I'll definitely be coming back as soon as things kind of calm down. But I love all you guys too, all my Austin film peeps, all my Austin peeps. So thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun. It was a pleasure. I'm sure there will be plenty more. we've done a lot together.
Hey, Patrick.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Yeah, that was nice of him to drop in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that ad you guys made.
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, the grip truck had broke down or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Had a flat tire, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, leave it to us to use our time productively.
It's good. You two were quite a duo. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Uh-huh.
It was great.
Well, it's
You guys
either
were
laugh or
always
go
like-
crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
We just like hear you guys whispering to each other
I know.
over the sound system.
Oh, yeah,
Great.
Cracking up.
I'm sure we got under Thomas's skin more than a couple of times during that, but had to put us in timeout.
But I mean, for us, it was like the first time working with like professional crew, and it was
Mhm.
like, this is magical.
Yeah.
This is magical.
Yeah,
It
because
just
you
looked so
had
good. It sounded
had
so
a-
good.
you had the great Rich Bond as your gaffer,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Amazing.
and Rich is still killing it.
Philip Rank,
Mhm.
Philip
Mhm.
Ranke,
Mhm.
Phil Sheldon.
Mhm.
Who else am I forgetting? Stephanie Noon.
Yes,
Stephanie and Noon.
I mean, because
No.
that was
Mhm. And
that was
April. That was like her
April.
first gig.
That's right. And
a
April's like,
movie.
we couldn't afford her now.
No.
well, Stephanie
couldn't
killed
afford
it. I
any of
mean,
you now.
that was not a lazy movie to do set design on.
Yeah.
No, it was
No.
intense.
There
You
were
know what the
so many
saddest-
little
one of the
elements.
weirdest- one of the weirdest days for us was the scene where Scott trashes his bedroom.
Oh yeah.
So much work went into that bedroom,
Mhm.
and then to just see him tear everything apart
It's
and throw
tragic.
the furniture around.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my god.
I
We're like,
know.
we definitely got everything.
I was like, wait,
that
don't
we
need to
need.
come back in here. You
And
sure?
then we like, as soon as we finished that scene, we walked out of that room and like didn't go back into it for the rest of the shoot.
Oh god.
And then when we wrapped, Katie and Thomas and I walked back and looked at that room again at the devastation, and we were just like, oh.
Yeah.
Because we felt like you were created like a little world here, and then you just tear it to pieces.
Mhm.
You just leave it all behind.
Yeah.
I think your dad's logged on.
Is he? Is
Oh,
he there?
great. Yes, my dad, who's in the movie.
Dakin Matthews.
Dakin Matthews in the movie, and also is an executive producer, right? Or
Yes.
associate producer, executive
Mhm.
producer, yeah.
I was about to say
Well-
that movie has an incredibly long list of producers. I counted.
It does.
I counted
Well,
22 producer credits.
Yeah. That
counting?
makes sense.
Who's
It was
counting?
everybody put in $20 and we saw what we could do. So
Because that is such a nebulous term, producer. Because it can mean everything from the guy in the back room puffing on the cigar to the person finding out where the porta potty goes the next day.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a broad swath.
Yeah, well,
of,
there's different, there's executive producer, there's producers, associate producers, co-producer,
Mhm.
there's a lot of different levels to it. Some people were just really supportive throughout. Some people gave money. Some people actually made the movie happen.
Mhm.
Some people found money.
Mhm.
It was a definitely
No.
a school for us.
It was a labor of love. Getting something like that made is just like, I mean, it's like pulling teeth. Nothing comes easy. And, having, like even like missing, if we had to push a day, I mean, it would just screw you, you know? It's like
Yeah.
you have so little money to throw at
And
any
so little
problem. It's
leeway.
like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, Thomas and Ezra were definitely the main producers. They were
Mhm.
the two guys who made
Made
it
it
all
happen.
happen,
kept the
made it
lights
come
on.
together, made the money go as far as it could. I feel like my favorite story of Thomas producing is we were in post production and we had all of our rights wrapped up. We were trying to get our E&O insurance and we had to have all the rights in order. But there was one band that had given us permission to use their song, and we loved the song. I think we had already like baked it into the cut, but we didn't have the signature on the contract. And like a typical musician was just like so flighty, and we couldn't get in contact with him. So Thomas happened to be in California, and so he went. This band was doing a show in San Francisco, so he went to San Francisco, and he stood outside of the stage door waiting for the band to come out so he could grab them and force them to sign this paper so that we could get our E&O insurance.
Wow.
Now that's
Yeah.
That's hair of the
So, there
chinny
you
chin
have it.
chin.
It's called the labor of love.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah,
dude.
yeah. I was
Oh,
gonna
sorry.
do that. Sorry to respond to your email.
I did meant to respond to your 100 emails, but we've just been on tour.
Well, you know Russell and Bradley and them, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you hear their horror story?
No, I don't think
It was
so.
they did a short called "The Man Who Never Cried." It ended up winning that year's Doorpost film competition. It was already pretty much, I think, in the can and just in post, and Cyndi Lauper's people said no, and somebody had originally said yes, and they had a whole scene based on Time After Time of a guy recreating it in a cemetery at a funeral, and
oh dear.
yeah, and
So that's not something you can replace the song.
no, that required a complete reshoot way after the fact.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the version that I saw, what was the song that they used?
It was oh boy. What was that guy's name? It was some singer-songwriter. They're going to kill me because I can't remember it because they were in love with this guy. But David something or other. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what that reminds me of. So good on Thomas, saving the day.
man.
Yeah. Well, Katie was the music supervisor of the film. I mean, well, Katie and Thomas did together. Katie she like found these songs, and I would say like Katie is an amazing music supervisor because at least half of that soundtrack now are bands that are at the time were unknown, and now we could never afford their
Right?
music.
Isn't that something?
So she was kind of on the cutting edge.
Yeah, the Future Island song.
The Future Island. We had a Future Island song.
Like
in there.
literally, they blew up like the moment we signed the contract.
Yeah, and I think
it was like, oh shit.
And I think we got the song for like $500 or something
Yeah.
like that, which is insane.
Let's talk catering. I do remember breakfast tacos being every day, possibly for the entire shoot. I think I remember
This
that.
is Austin, though, Sean.
I'll tell you,
Austin. That's
just
how it
remember,
works.
the directors were picking up the breakfast tacos on this set.
But
from
what
from Los Jaliscienses, which you know is the Los Jaliscienses, which is a chain here, which is near our house, and it's also the place where we got the breakfast tacos is the same drive-through that you see Scott at in that mid-montage movie. That's where your breakfast tacos came from. Actually, when we only every so often do some sort of shoot in LA, and we have to get breakfast, and we're like, what the hell do you do if you can't get breakfast tacos?
I know. I did a shoot in LA, and I was like, I produced a shoot in LA, and I was like, have you get bagels?
Wait,
that seems like a
bagels?
little heavy for the morning. These big
Like
bagels
bagel
and cream
sandwiches?
cheese, that seems so unfulfilling.
And you put them out, and the crew would be like, it's a little filling. They wouldn't want them. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, they didn't want them.
Of course, because you want breakfast
you want
tacos.
breakfast tacos, and those are not.
Hey,
You don't know
I'm
what
not
it
hating
is.
on breakfast
Yeah.
tacos. They're great. But I just remember
They're amazing.
it was pretty religious. But what was even more religious was I couldn't look at a thing of coconut water for about a month to 6 weeks after that thing wrapped out.
Hey, you could blame Ezra for that. He caught a deal with that company, that
I knew it.
Psycho
Was
company.
that called Psycho?
Yeah. And so
He got like after
but
the
people
shoot.
were into them.
Yeah.
Remember the chocolate
ones would go like that.
Yeah.
Because they were like super hydrating. And
They
we
were.
still, after the shoot was over, we still had like 3 what do you call them? I guess crates full
Yeah.
Cases.
of those coconut
No, but
water.
I don't think we touched them actually.
Well,
we
because
had so many.
the mango ones, nobody wanted the mango. Everybody wanted the chocolate or the
Yeah,
regular.
it was the chocolate
Coke.
was the big hit, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it by about day 14, it was like, it was starting to get hard to
Oh,
face
yeah.
them, and everything smelled like it. Just
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was I remember we shot in April, but it was a very hot
It was
April, and I remember that was one of the things I learned, from my first proper movie set experience was every time I watched any movie after that, no matter what the scene was, I'd always wonder, like, is it like really fucking hot right now where they shot this? And everyone's just playing it off, because that's how it was for All Zero Christmas. It was like really hot, and
unseasonably
the actors
warm.
would have to like,
Yeah.
yeah, the actors, because
Yeah.
we shot a lot of what do you call it? It was supposed to be nighttime, but we shot in the day, so we had black plastic wrap around all the windows.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we'd have to turn the air conditioning off, and
Uh-huh.
it would just get sweltering
That's
there,
my
just like
fault.
wipe down the act.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. But then we have to like dry the actors off, and when you watch it, you don't know, but then you remember like, oh my god, it was like 97 degrees in there.
Also at at the character Miles's house, which is supposed to be like this his cool house. There's just flies everywhere.
Everywhere.
Andrew was painting them out,
Mhm.
like just like zoom past Scott's face, like.
Yeah.
Zing,
No, that
zing,
was like one
zing.
of the last post-production stages.
Holy crap.
We had Joe Nicolosi did our VFX for the movie.
Mhm.
All of like the big effects, like
Mm-hmm.
the scene replacements in the background, that kind of stuff. But then
sign replacement.
But then the very last stage was like these, like, I want to use this take. Sam is so good in this take, but then there's a fly buzzes past his face. So thank God I knew After Effects. I was able to go out and paint out those flies.
Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
I didn't
That
know
probably
about
would've
that.
Yeah.
Your pop was wondering how is it doing on Amazon Prime? Do y'all have access to any statistics or?
No,
No.
they don't tell us.
We'd have
We
to-
don't actually know why it's on Amazon Prime right now.
Yeah, I mean, so Tribeca's the distributor, so they have access to that stuff, and
They didn't notify
don't
us
communicate
about
a whole lot.
Well, they didn't notify us about any Amazon Prime deal, because supposedly Amazon Prime pays you for a certain amount of time for it to be subscription free.
Mhm.
And we didn't get notified. We just found it because somebody told us, "Hey,
Yeah,
it's
it
on
was
Amazon."
John Golson,
Right? He said, "Oh, it's on Amazon Prime." We're like,
who's
"What?"
great
Why?
in the movie, by the way.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
John Golson. Yes, wonderful.
fantastic.
Katie just worked.
I was
Katie-
just in a movie with John Golson.
Yes.
What?
Actually, acting.
What
in
was
a movie,
that?
Yes.
Mhm.
It's Brian. Do you know Brian Connolly?
No.
He's writing partners
Zach
with-
Carlson's writing partner.
Mhm.
Directed a movie. Brian Connolly worked at Vulcan Video for many, many years. Managed
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
He's the one who did the Vulcan Video. Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Did you see that when Vulcan Video was on Jimmy Kimmel?
No, but I heard about the
With Matthew-
closing. That was really sad.
No.
Yes, that was.
No.
R.I.P. That's done. It's like not closing, not temporarily, like done.
No,
done,
it's.
done?
I think it's done.
Done.
Jeez.
Yeah. Hopefully, someone will buy up that catalog and connect it to AFS Cinema.
Yeah. it
I think
should
that would be a great idea.
I can't
That's
believe
my
one of these
great idea.
One of
that-
these like art theaters should have a video store like connected to it,
Yes.
so that you can see a movie and like love it, and then go see what else has this filmmaker made, and just go right into the video store.
What
and
the
rent
new
it.
art in LA kind of had that.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
We had a
Yeah.
visitor.
hummingbird cam.
Uh,
um,
um,
now let's go. Let's talk South by Southwest. You guys got in.
Yeah.
Was that? Were y'all surprised, or were you kind of thinking that could happen, or?
oh, we were.
I mean, that was the
surprised.
dream, certainly.
Yeah.
Andrew and I moved to Austin in 2009 after making a documentary, Best Worst Movie, that got into South by. And so that was our first time going to South by. We lived in LA at the time when Best Worst Movie got in. And then we were like, we're those people who moved here because of South by Southwest. But we're like, let's move to Austin and make a movie. And it was like, and with South by Southwest in mind, obviously. And we were like, let's do that. And that was the whole point of us moving. So when we submitted to South by Southwest, we were like, let's hope we get it.
Yeah. We didn't find out till very late.
Yes.
We had kind of given up.
Yep.
And then we got an email at like 11 o'clock at night. Remember, I woke Katie up and we all went to our local bar, Bender, in South Austin.
Yep.
And celebrate that.
And then the being at South by was wild.
So awesome. I mean, our premiere, they turned people away. You know? I think there was. Yeah, I think something about just like hearing like, oh, it's about like D&D nerds or something. You're gonna get. It's gonna pique people's interest in general. And that's just, it was a big line. We were nervous, so nervous.
I remember I was so freaked out. I remember going into the bathroom and hearing people talk about it. Like you're in the stall and you're like, God, get me out of here. I don't know if I want to hear this.
Right.
But it was amazing. It was amazing. And then we won the audience award and we could not believe it.
That was so crazy.
It blew our minds.
It was really weird to be at South by and hear like, oh, you introduce them and like, oh, we made this Zero Charisma, and people go like, oh wow, I've heard a lot of people talk about that. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
What's happening?
It's like it doesn't seem real. It was all very like, because it's a movie we made in our backyard essentially, and it just felt suddenly like.
And it's a roller coaster because there were times after we had finished it, like some of like the test screenings and stuff, that we were convinced that we had failed.
Yeah.
Miserably.
Yeah.
Like at a very low point, going like, well, this is a complete failure, but I guess we have to just get it out there and finish it. And to go from there, you would never think that you'd be like, at a film festival that you want to be at and having a great time.
It's such an emotional roller coaster. It is just like constantly ups and downs. For every filmmaker that makes a movie, it's just like, yeah, this is great. And then it's like, what? This is a nightmare.
It's terrifying. It must be terrifying once you start those brooms marching, and it's like Mickey and Fantasia. You have no choice. The failure is not an option.
Yeah. The train has left the station, and it's happening. Yeah.
But that was a wonderful. That South by was a wonderful experience.
John's online by the way now.
John
Golson.
Oh, we forgot. John Golson.
Hey, John.
We also forgot to mention John Parker too. We should mention John Parker.
John Parker was
who
great.
was the production designer as well, and had to do a lot of like preparing very strange sets for.
I know. He was a little too cool for us.
We had a lot of odd requests.
Yeah. He's like, what? Okay.
Now, did Donut Taco Palace Dos have a bump from this, or did you ever keep in touch with them after?
I don't know.
We had to make we promised to make a video for them.
An ad, which we did.
We did. It was very lazily put together, but
at least you did it.
But we did it.
Oh, I thought it was good.
We did it. Yeah, we did it. Because it was like we had to make that right after we made it.
Yeah, it was very weird. Like, we just finished with South by, won the Audience Award. Now we got to go to Donut Taco Palace
and give them this like
that
ad. So
yeah, that was a rough location for us because they were working. They were live.
That was a rough location for everyone.
They weren't going to turn anything off.
No.
They wouldn't turn the phone off, so the phone would ring. We're like, you guys aren't, you're not open. Can you turn the phone off? And like, but honestly, of all the locations that we went to try to use, for some reason, a donut shop was the most rigid.
Yes.
I mean, the game store, Great Hall Games, which used to be on Burnett, it's not there anymore. No, it was on North Lamar. Was it
Lamar, I think.
North Lamar.
North Lamar, yeah. They were amazingly gracious. They said they would close their shop for 2 days to shoot this movie there, and they were even extras in it too, the owners of it.
Oh, during the Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the donut shops are like, close for a moment? Are you insane?
Yeah.
Of course we won't do that. That was just like, and we went to many donut shops, and they're like, no, never.
And so, you're like, how much do you make in the morning?
How much could you possibly make? Donuts cost like 25 cents. Sorry.
we
if you
just love the
listened, we
name.
don't know.
We just like saying the name over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did get a couple memes out of this movie. There's one meme that's it's just the still of the Donut Taco Palace 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another meme that I think when people need to make a meme of like a table full of D&D guys, there's a wide shot of the table and with Sam and Brock and Brian and Vincent all sitting around the table, and that's a testament to the art direction and also to the cinematography, because it's like really good looking.
What does it say?
Anytime anyone wants to make a D&D meme joke,
They
use that still because it just looks so classic. You know, it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
The characters look good. They're dressed right. You know, the room looks right. Everything. And then that new Pixar movie stole Scott's character too.
So Pixar owes us money. That's fine.
we're kind
I
of
don't
going
know if
full
you've seen that.
circle on the they stole from me thing again.
Right.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. I think that was John Golson who I don't know if he's watching, but he let us know that the character from Pixar's Onward was dressed a lot like Scott Wiedemeyer.
And he's into D&D,
Yeah,
right?
the D&D guy, yeah. And listens to symphonic metal.
That's us.
Now,
Anyway, Pixar, if you're watching, send a check too.
Post South by, y'all had a couple of really great screenings. One that I remember very well was Cinema East.
Oh, that was so great. Yeah.
Outdoors at the
RAP
French,
Cinema East.
at the French legation, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was
huge turnout too for that. And it was just such a
Yeah,
good
there was like 1,000 people.
It was such a good
Yeah.
group
Wild.
too. They all behaved. There wasn't just people constantly talking throughout the whole thing. And
Yeah.
No, it was, and the Q&A was
pretty
super
wild.
fun. And
Yeah.
that was right before. That was like 2 days before Intramural kicked off. And Katie
Mm.
probably
Oh, wow.
has some PTSD from that one.
Eh,
We were just
Not as much, but
It's funny because I was thinking of Cinema East the other day. I was thinking of like, what are the things that like are just unthinkable in this coronavirus era, but was so lovely then in Cinema East. Sitting on a blanket on the grass with 1,200 other people watching a movie.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Drinking wine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, hope we get to do that again.
One day.
And as far now, Katie, you were talking about having to listen to people in the bathroom and going, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." As far as facing the reviews and the online, all the know-it-alls online, what was that experience like with like Rotten Tomatoes and some of the other review sites?
I mean, I don't know. That like the reviews were pretty positive for the most part. I think you're like, oh no, we made a movie about nerd. We like, you're walking into a Dragon Slayer sort of. You're like, oh, you're gonna get a response from Scott Wiedemeyer is literally going to watch the movie and respond to it, and it's like, what will he think? It's like, and he will go on IMDb and like say everything he thinks about it. So I mean, it's sort of like, you take that with a grain of salt. You sort of know, like, oh, well, that's what's coming.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were way better than we could have hoped for. There was a few bad reviews, but I mean, at South by, after the first screening, just looking at Twitter or watching the reviews come out and seeing people saying nice things, and there were some people who didn't say nice things, but it's their opinion.
Well, I remember back in the day, The Simpsons had the same problem. They had so many detractors and fans that were like comic book store guy in real life, constantly judging them and holding them to some insane bar.
I actually like reading those like user reviews about Zero Charisma, or I have before, where it's like, I don't know, they're just like, this is not fair to geek culture, and I took offense to this. And then, it's just interesting. It's so kind of divided there, with like, some people think it's very accurate, and then some people feel like it's
It was really
offensive to nerds.
with
so.
people who actually are D&D nerds. And I use that term lovingly. It was about 50-50. Like 50% of them would say, this is so accurate, and I knew people, like my DM was like Scott Wiedemeyer, and I had to deal with that, or I feel like I'm Scott Wiedemeyer. And the other half were a little more concerned with like the PR image of the subculture and thought and didn't want it to be tarnished in some way.
Actually, I mean, oh yeah, go ahead.
To be honest though, like this was right before this sort of toxic nerd thing came about. I mean, I don't think you could have made the same movie just 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
Because there's such like everyone now is aware of like the toxicity and the fandom cultures and the nerd cultures.
Yeah.
So
I would
we were
say
right.
in that crowd, 50% is that's a pretty good number. You know, if you had a 50% favorability, that's pretty great, actually.
It was the 50% who had a sense of humor.
Right. Because I felt it was completely fair. It's a modern telling of a dungeon master losing his flock to, video games in real life. Yeah, and it's not really that judgy. I mean,
I think it's a little more skewed to like old school nerds, like kind of, that kind of like 80s, 90s type of nerd,
Present.
70s even. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's that kind of, and that's like, my brother was one of those people. It's like I grew up in that world. I mean, Andrew was. So it's like we were kind of like, it was an homage to that, less the kind of new geek.
Yeah, and
chic
honestly,
stuff.
like, obviously Scott has some problems with, self-awareness. But as far as his, cultural perspective goes, I agree with him. I think he's right. That's what I wanted the character to be, somebody who, people like me would go, he's got problems, but
he has a point.
But he has a point. Thank you for having that perspective.
Well, thank goodness that some people still fuss, and because it seems like any semblance of earnest endeavor or hard work is kind of mocked sometimes.
Yeah.
And
that, and then also that nerd culture has kind of become a little synonymous with, I guess, sort of pop culture, just like indulgence, just like whatever's popular, that just kind of gobble it up. And Scott was someone who was resistant. He was willing to be like the lone voice who says like, this isn't good enough for me. I'm not.
When a nerd meant something.
Yeah.
That's sort of the idea. Like it wasn't just like mainstream. It was like
whatever
in a time where it felt like that's what made you unique.
Yeah. I feel like Scott would have been somebody who'd be like, whatever Disney and Marvel just serves up, I'm not just going to eat it. I'm going to be critical of it, and I'm going,
right,
for better or worse.
I was, I'm 52 now, and we used to play when I was in Boy Scouts on camping trips. That was our thing in Scouts. Was actually one of my oldest friends was online. I don't know if he still is, but he, we used to play at his house. He was our dungeon master in Scouts, and that was our jam. That Pong and Atari were starting to creep in, even back then. And kind of divert our mind share a little bit, but yeah, it was old school. I was so lazy though back then. It started to feel almost too much like schoolwork for me, all the writing and the notebooks and stuff, and so it started to lose me after a little bit. But
well, it's having a resurgence. It's really popular right now.
Well, good.
It really is.
And I know a lot of people who are trying to play it online during the quarantine. And so I think there's going to be a lot more apps and that streamline the experience.
And I guess the last thought I was wondering is just what's life been like after? I mean, is it something? I mean, do you still keep in touch with a lot of the people, a lot of the actors, or anybody? Or I tried to get a hold of Sam to no avail.
Yeah, he's very hard to get a hold of.
He's not on Facebook.
I know.
Sam, a lot have moved to some have moved to LA
or New York.
or other places.
We still see Ezra.
We
of
still
course,
see
Thomas.
Ezra and Thomas, of
Mhm.
course, and we just worked obviously with Ezra and Thomas and you
Yes, on a
on
short
a
called
short,
Shucky
not that
Darn.
long ago.
That was at
Um,
Fantastic Fest last September.
I still haven't seen the final or
Oh,
whatever.
Oh,
really?
really? Okay.
Yeah, so
We'll send it to you.
send
Yeah.
that over because yeah.
Okay.
You guys had me at hello with that. I mean, what better of a premise than to view the last 20 minutes of life on Earth through the prism of a professional pie eating contest person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd premise. But
It's kind of, I mean, I'm debating right now. Well, because we submitted it to other film festivals that because of this quarantine life we lead now and because of COVID-19, all those have been postponed or canceled. So I'm like, should I just throw it about online?
I
Let's
know. Should
do
we post
this.
it online, or should we wait until? I mean, do you want to wait for another year to try festivals again? I don't know.
No. So that might be up online.
Although
shortly.
our problem is very small compared to the problems of people who
that's
made a feature film or spent years on it,
Yes.
got into a film festival, and then now have had the entire season canceled. basically.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
that's
thinking
rough.
about that exact thing the other day. It's just like I was thinking about
Yeah.
all the people that were just about to be discovered, or
I know.
that have worked their entire lives and they're just now they were just about to get on the scene, and
I know.
and now it's thrown into.
I mean, we know people worked on docs for 2 years or a feature for 3 years. Thomas produced one that got into South by, directed by Caleb Johnson, and
It's called Carnivores.
it's called Carnivores.
Check it out if you have the opportunity to. in the
Yeah.
future.
But yeah, I mean, and it just, it's like,
There's no like recourse. It's just like, sorry,
yeah,
the season's canceled.
yeah,
I mean, you realize how much luck there is in this
yeah.
business. I mean, it's like,
I mean, it's great that South by canceled when they did. I'm
Of
very
course.
glad that happened, obviously, because we would have been an epicenter essentially if we didn't, of the virus if we didn't.
Yep.
But the other side of that is just, all these filmmakers, especially, it's like the tech people. It's like that's a business side, but the filmmakers, it's just all these labors of love that they have to find a home for. It's hard.
Right. Well.
So.
and on that.
But our comedy, Shucky Darn, is very funny.
Yes. Well, and I do want to thank you because Shucky Darn let me know that that a real doll is about the scariest thing I've ever been around.
Yeah, not
Agreed.
worth it.
Yes.
And I mean, I couldn't believe it. The fact that it took 3 or 4 grown men to just transport the thing around. The technology's not there yet, I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I mean, truly, whenever we release Shucky Darn online, if you ever want to interview us about that, because we will go on about that sex doll
It'll
for
just be about
30
the sex
minutes straight.
Yeah.
No,
That
I
was
did get
the
a couple of
title.
pictures with it. I'm happy to say, but that's about it's about the last I want of any contact I want with one of those things. That was how much do those
Yeah.
retail for?
Like $3,000.
I mean, $3,000 to like $5,000 depending on
Mhm.
how.
It was a local company too. It was.
They were
lo-
very
They
gracious.
were great.
I feel bad.
I mean, they
like,
were amazing.
if you are gonna buy one, you should buy one from Real Love Dolls.
Buy local.
Yeah, Locavore.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
I should
this
say
was,
we also have a PBS show.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say,
that
plug away,
That's
plug
our
away.
day gig.
what-
Yeah, we have a PBS digital show called 2 Cents. It's a financial education
teaching finance
show.
to millennials and anyone else who needs the
Mhm.
education.
Yeah.
And we're doing a lot of episodes on surviving the
Mhm.
pandemic.
And we're doing them right now.
Financially, not medically, but just financially.
and you're looking for
Mhm.
people to talk to about that, like small business owners or.
Yeah, we are actually. Our next episode that we're developing right now is about the impact on small businesses, and so we'd love to like talk to people who have run a small business and have
Mhm.
been impacted by this, however it is, whether it's a little or a lot,
Mhm.
and hear the stories.
Well, thank you
So if you know
guys.
anyone,
This was super freaking fun. Again, this is like one of those projects that I'm so glad that is in the rearview mirror that I get to brag about and talk about still, because you guys really you nailed it. So I hope you get to do another one.
You. We
I hope a lot
will,
of
and
people
you'll
come.
work on it, hopefully.
Yeah, soon. It's happening soon. We're working on it.
Right on. All right. Well, when's the next karaoke dance party?
Wednesday,
Wednesday night,
What time?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. on Katie
on my
Graham's
Facebook page,
All right.
Katie Graham.
We'll
All
be
right,
taking
8 p.m.
requests all night.
Central, Wednesday. All right, we'll all be there, and we can make requests, or is it?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes, you
It's
can
not
make,
requests, it's demands. You
Yeah.
can control the queue.
you control the queue. Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll see you Wednesday.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
Bye. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Bye, guys.